Hit record yet?
We've been recording for 30 seconds.
Okay, that part stays in. Side-by-side English podcasts, folks. Jennifer.
Daniel.
We have a lot to get into today.
We really do. Listener, wherever you are, hi. Welcome back to the show.
Grab whatever you drink when you want to think clearly, and let's do this.
The topic for this one is why nobody respects you. And I've been waiting to record this.
Today we're talking about why nobody respects you. Not the surface version everyone posts about. The real one.
Because why nobody respects you is one of those things everybody nods at, and almost nobody actually works on. We want to fix that in the next 20 minutes.
I think half the battle on this is just having a clearer way to see it. So that's what we're going to try to give you.
Structure is what the problem actually looks like, why it happens, and what to actually do. Crystal will drop in with vocab 3 times.
All right. Rolling.
Heads up before we start.
We made a free PDF for this Why Nobody Respects You episode. It's basically the cheat sheet version of the whole conversation.
In the description. Doesn't cost anything, doesn't ask anything. Okay. Section 1. What why nobody respects you actually looks like. The real shape of it.
Not the Instagram version. The version that happens when nobody's watching.
So the first one is what I call the fog. Most people run into why nobody respects you and feel stuck, but they can't even describe what's happening. There's just this vague pressure, this sense that something is off, but every time they try to name it, it slips. And because they can't name it, they can't Google it, they can't ask for help, they can't even journal about it properly.
And when you can't name a thing, you can't work on it. It just sits there, running in the background, draining energy. You don't notice how much it's taking from you until you try to do something important and realize you don't have the bandwidth. The fog is expensive, even though it's invisible. The second one is the shame layer. People feel like they should already have why nobody respects you figured out by this point in their life. Everyone else seems to have it handled. Your coworker looks like they have it handled. The person on Instagram definitely has it handled. So you must be the only one still struggling, and that's embarrassing, so you don't bring it up.
And that silence is the trap. Because you don't talk about it, you don't find out that everyone else is also struggling. You don't get help. You don't even get a real conversation. The shame keeps the problems sealed, and sealed problems get worse, not better. Almost every breakthrough I've seen on this stuff starts with someone finally saying it out loud.
Raise your hand if this is you. I am raising my hand.
Third one, really common. People treat why nobody respects you like a personality trait instead of a skill. They say, that's just how I am. I've always been like this. My whole family is like this. And because they frame it as who they are, changing it feels impossible. Like trying to change your height.
But almost nothing about this is fixed. It's learned. It was learned at some point, usually years ago, often in ways you don't remember. And anything that was learned can be unlearned, or replaced, or updated. You're not changing who you are. You're updating a skill you didn't realize was a skill. Fourth. The advice problem. The internet is full of content about why nobody respects you, and most of it contradicts other content about why nobody respects you. One person says do this every morning. Another person says that morning thing is a trap. One says go hard, one says rest more. You read 10 articles and you're more confused than when you started.
And when people are confused, they default to doing nothing. It's safer than picking the wrong approach. But doing nothing is almost always worse than any of the reasonable options. So the advice overload, weirdly, produces the same result as having no advice at all. Frozen in place. And the last one, the sneaky one. Isolation. People dealing with why nobody respects you tend to go inward. They stop reaching out. They skip the invite. They cancel the thing. They tell themselves they need more time alone to figure it out.
But the figuring out rarely happens in isolation. Humans think better in community, or at least in contact. The retreat feels protective, but it usually makes the problem heavier. and then the heaviness becomes another reason to retreat. You can see the loop.
Oof.
Yeah. Oof is the right word.
So that's the landscape. That's what this looks like when it's happening to you. Hold that thought. First vocab break with Crystal, then we get into the why.
Crystal jumping in. 4 words from the problem section. Let's walk through them. To grapple with. To struggle with something difficult. Often used for big ideas or challenges, like grappling with why nobody respects you. Pervasive. Spreading through everything, everywhere. A pervasive problem is one you can't easily avoid. Daunting. Something that feels intimidating or overwhelming before you start. To confront. To face something directly, often something uncomfortable. Not to avoid. Those are your 4. Back to Jennifer and Daniel.
And we're back. Crystal, always a gem.
Section 2 time. Let's get under the hood of why nobody respects you. Why does this even happen to people in the first place? Alright, first shift, and this one changes everything. Why nobody respects you is not primarily about willpower. It's about design. People try to white-knuckle their way through and then blame themselves when they run out of willpower by Wednesday. That's not a character failure. That's predictable. Willpower is a finite resource, and any plan that requires a lot of it is going to break under pressure.
When you design your environment, your schedule, your defaults, your triggers, the behavior follows almost automatically. You don't need to decide to do the thing if the thing is the easiest option in front of you. Good design makes the right move the default move. Willpower is what you use when design fails you, not the other way around. Second insight. Small is not weak. Small is sustainable. People think that because the goal is big, the first step has to be big too. That's backwards. A tiny change you do every day beats a massive change you do once and abandon. Consistency is the multiplier. And tiny makes consistency possible.
1 push-up a day sounds like a joke, until you realize you're the person who actually did it every day for a year. Meanwhile, the person who planned the perfect 1-hour routine is still planning. Small is how you win, because small is what actually happens.
That genuinely changed how I see this.
Third. You don't have a why nobody respects you problem. You have a system that makes why nobody respects you hard for you. The distinction matters, because if you think you're the problem, you try to fix yourself, which feels terrible and rarely works. If you think the system is the problem, you start asking different questions. What's in my environment? What's in my schedule? Where are the friction points?
Separate the person from the system. The person is fine. The system needs an upgrade. And once you see the system clearly, you can start pulling specific levers instead of just trying harder. Trying harder is what everyone defaults to, and it's usually the least effective thing you can do. Fourth. Progress on this stuff is not a straight line. It is a messy line that trends up over time. And if you only measure today versus yesterday, you will quit, because some days you'll look worse than the day before. That's just how this works. There is no version of this where progress is perfectly monotonic.
Measure today versus 3 months ago. That's where the truth lives. Zoom out on the graph and the noise disappears, and the trend shows up. Most people zoom in, see a bad day, and conclude they're failing. They're not. They're looking at the graph wrong. And the fifth insight. Your relationship with why nobody respects you is a relationship. It has history. It has patterns. It has emotional weight that has nothing to do with the current situation. So when you respond to it, you are not just responding to today. You are also responding to every previous version of this that you've lived through.
That's why reactions can feel disproportionate. It's not the current thing. It's the current thing plus 20 years of similar things. Once you see that layering, you can start separating what is actually happening now from what feels like is happening now. 2 different things. Big difference. Okay, hang on. Say that one more time, but slower. So the point is, the thing is not what you thought it was. Once you see it differently, the solution becomes much more doable. Good moment for round 2 of vocab. Crystal?
Crystal again. For more words from the insight section. These ones are a little more advanced. A paradigm shift. A complete change in how you see something. Not a small update. A whole new frame. Counterintuitive. The opposite of what common sense would tell you. Often where the real insight hides. Reframe. To change the way you describe or look at a situation, which changes how you feel about it. Leverage. A small input that creates a big output. Finding the point where a little push moves a lot. That's your second set. Handing it back.
Okay, last section. Solutions. The real ones.
No guru speak. No 12-step protocol. Just a handful of things you can try this week.
Step 1. Name the specific version of why nobody respects you are dealing with. Not the general one. Yours. The general one is too big to act on. Yours is specific enough to have edges. Write one sentence that describes your version. Who, what, when, where, why.
The more specific you can be, the more actionable it becomes. Vague problems produce vague plans. Specific problems produce specific moves. And specific moves are the only ones that actually get done. If you can't name it in one sentence, you're not ready to act on it yet. Keep narrowing until you can. Step 2. Pick one tiny move you can do in under 2 minutes, today. Not a plan. Not a system. Not a 6-week overhaul. One move, 2 minutes, today. That's the whole assignment. Because motion beats meditation on a plan every single time.
And the 2-minute rule is not arbitrary. It's designed to bypass the part of your brain that resists big changes. 2 minutes is too small to resist. Your brain lets it through. And once it's through, momentum starts. Momentum is the thing you're actually trying to build. The move itself is almost a trick.
I love this one. It's almost annoying how well it works.
Step 3. Build the smallest possible loop. Do the move, notice what happened, adjust, repeat. That's the whole engine. Not weekly reviews. Not quarterly goals. Not a journaling system with color codes. A tiny loop that runs every day, and that you can do in under 5 minutes total.
This is how real change happens. Not in big announcements. In small loops that compound. A week of tiny loops beats a month of big plans. Always. Show me the person who ran the tiny loop every day and I will show you the person who made real progress. Step 4. Tell one person what you're working on. Just one. Out loud. Not a group text. Not a tweet. A real human you can see or hear reacting. Their job is not to fix it. Their job is just to know. Witness, not coach.
Something about saying it to another human makes it real in a way that writing it down privately doesn't. The social contract kicks in, quietly. You find yourself actually doing the thing, partly because someone else knows. We are social animals. Use it.
Tiny move, big leverage.
Step 5. Schedule the review. One time a week, 15 minutes, same time if possible. You sit down, you look at what happened, you pick what to try next week. That's it. That is the whole strategic layer of this.
Because daily is where the doing lives, but weekly is where the learning lives. Without that review, you just do a lot of things without noticing which ones worked. With the review, every week teaches you something about yourself, and next week gets a little sharper. So if you remember nothing else about why nobody respects you, pick the easiest one and do it today.
Not all of them. 1. Just one. You can come back for the others.
One last vocab breakout, then we'll wrap this up.
Last vocab break. Crystal here. 4 action words from the solutions section. Actionable. Something you can actually do, right now, in the real world. Not just think about. Compound. To grow on top of itself. Small habits compound into big changes, like interest in a bank. Accountability. Having someone or something that makes sure you follow through on what you said you'd do. Intentional. Doing something on purpose, with awareness. The opposite of doing it on autopilot. That's your 12. Over to the hosts for the close.
Alright. Welcome back one more time, and thank you, Crystal.
So that was our conversation on why nobody respects you. The problem, the insight, and the solution.
If this helped you, or if it gave you one thing to try today, please hit subscribe. It genuinely helps the channel and it helps us keep making these.
And don't forget to grab the free PDF in the description. It's a nice one-page recap of everything we covered today.
Drop a comment and let us know what landed for you. We read every single one.
We'll see you in the next episode.
Bye for now.